So here we go, man. I'm pretty fired up, and we're gonna do this video straight up voiceover style, straight up Khan Academy, baby, where you guys are not gonna see me at all. So as you can see there, I have mapped out the next, what is that? That's 11, 16, 50, 60, 77 weeks of my training cycle. And I'm fired up because I've never done anything like this before. I've mapped out up to like a year, but I've never gone like a year and a half. And, you know, next year, as I keep talking about, I'm going to turn pro, man. I want to turn pro. I'm going to position myself to turn pro. And in my mind, I mean, I'm going to turn pro. And so you got to do things you've never done before if you want to do something you've never done before. And so for me, I'm going to block off the next 77 weeks in my head, kind of mentally, you know, to kind of just lock myself in to what is to come. And I'm super excited for a number of reasons, but one of which I'm going to talk about here in a second. And so, first 11 weeks, the cleanup cut. So this started around March 10th, so a couple of weeks ago. And so 11 weeks from March 10th to May 26th is going to be my cleanup cut. I'm around 200 now, give or take. You know, it depends on, you know, how much Captain Crunch I've eaten the previous night, whether or not I'm over 200, under 200. But this is what I think I need to get where I need to be to start when I get to the competition prep there, that purple region over on the right-hand side. I need to be 185, 86, 87, 88, somewhere around there. And so I kind of want to do the lion's share of that work in this cleanup cut. And here's the real deal, man. So around March 10th, I finally started to lock it in mentally and finally get into a rhythm. And I'm really excited because I'm a couple weeks under my belt now. And, you know, if you guys have been following me, you know this. I've been just kind of drifting in the wind ever since the shows ended last August. And some of that makes sense because I've used this illustration before, but it's still so true. I mean, it's like a rubber band. When you pull on that rubber band for a really long time and you pull really hard, when you let go, it's going to snap back with some pretty nice velocity in the other direction. And so that definitely happened, and it happened to me harder than I thought it would. And in some ways that makes sense because I got lighter than I'd ever been. I got leaner than I'd ever been. And, you know, as a result, you know, God blessed me with, you know, a first place showing in the novice class. But, you know, the months following that were, you know, I really thought I would just pick right up with the reverse diet. I would hit stride and, you know, I'd be all set and ready to go. But that certainly is not what happened. I mean, I was just kind of wandering through the darkness for a while there. And I kind of expected that to be the case for a couple of months. But it persisted up until basically March 10th or March 8th or March 9th. And I think I know why. And it's funny because I just kind of forgot who I am. I kind of forgot my strengths. I kind of forgot my weaknesses for a while. And here's what I mean by that. You know, come time, you know, so I do the shows last August. And then it's September, October, we'll just throw those out. That's a wash. You know, you've got to give yourself a chance to mentally rest from, you know, what just happened. But then November, December, you know, I was in the 180s. And I was like, all right, you know, I'd like to be in the high 170s or whatever. And so what I kept trying to do was just take like 2 or 3 weeks and do a very accelerated approach. Just kind of step right back into what I was doing at the end of my competition prep when things were very hard, when things were very demanding, but I had been building up to that point. I just thought I would step right back into that mode and just do it, man. But it's just not that easy. And so if you pull anything away from this video, pull this away from this video. You can't step into something that's extremely hard and expect it to stick. I just really think that for 99 people out of 100, if not 100 out of 100, that's just not the best way to go, and it's going to lead to possibly a big backfire. And so, knowing myself, I know that I do very well with the deadline, but I do very well with the deadline when I have time, and I don't feel rushed, and I don't feel pressure. I mean, I'm like this at work. I'm like this when I'm getting ready for a segment at work. I'm like this when I'm getting ready for a talk with Tasty Trade. I'm like this when I'm getting ready for a talk for F Cubed. I mean, when I'm getting my talks together, I like to give myself a lot of time so that I can make adjustments, I can move slowly, and what have you. So I feel good about this because end of May is plenty of time to do what I want to do. But then I have this flex period that if I need more time, I'll use these 5 weeks to continue to clean up my cut. If I'm where I want to be, then I will either shift right up to maintenance calories and hang out there for a few weeks and then reverse diet, or I may start reverse dieting right away. I'm not sure. I'll just kind of see how I feel. And, you know, I don't want to go off on the reverse diet tangent. I did a video about this, you know, just recently. It was the last video I posted, actually. And so, you know, the reverse diet that I'm going to do here is exactly what I talked about in that video, right? I mean, everything I do with F cubed, man, in any of the Fs, I want it to be true. I want it to be real. I want it to be authentic. I want it to be the things that I wholeheartedly believe in. I want it to be the things that I do myself. I mean, I am not going to get on camera or get on air on a video or a podcast or, you know, a blog entry or anything and just write up a whole bunch of rigmarole that doesn't make any sense because I've never tried it before or I don't believe in it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because it's too important to me for me to be really transparent with you guys and to be really, you know, authentic with you guys. And this is the real deal. And so what I told you guys to do with your reverse diets is exactly what I'm going to do. 5 to 10 carbs a week, 1 to 2 grams of fat per week, you know, make adjustments along the way. And then I'm just thinking, man, you know, let's say I end my cut and the flex period at 100 carbs a day. Let's just say. It may be less than that. It may be more than that. I don't know. But if I had 5 carbs a week, which is very conservative, for 27 weeks, that's 135 carbs. So now I've gone from 100 carbs to 235 carbs. And I'm starting my competition prep in a great spot from a metabolic rate standpoint, from a happiness standpoint, from a number of bowls of cereal that I can consume standpoint. And so it just makes a million times, you know, it just makes just a whole lot of sense, a million times worth of sense to go ahead and do this and do it in the way that I kind of prescribed you guys do it. Then you got competition prep, 25 weeks. I mean, that's, you know, I'm thinking if I start 186, 187, 188, I think I need to land 153, 154, 155. So 25 weeks, if I can get a pound and a quarter a week, which I think I can probably do, then you're looking at 31 pounds. You start at 186. I'm 155 when competition season begins. That's, of course, if things work out perfectly, and I know that they won't. There'll be snafus along the way, but hey, this is my video. This is, you know, my little academic utopian world, so we're going to pretend that things work out perfectly. I start the season on June 29th, and I'm 155, and if I feel ready to step on stage, like I can legitimately compete for my pro card, then I will do that on June 29th. I will find a show in Chicago, in Ohio, in Mississippi, in Panama, that gives me a shot to turn pro. If I'm not ready, then I'll wait. I'll continue to prep until I'm ready, into July, into August, whatever it takes. I know that within 9 weeks, I could probably do, if I'm ready on June 29th, I can probably fit 3 or 4 or 5 shows into that window. If I'm not ready, I know that the additional 9 weeks will get me to a point to where I will be ready. And so at some point in that 9-week block, I will compete for my pro card, and I think more than once. Now, that being said, if you guys go back to the very first episode of Road to the Pros, I mean, this will probably be, this could be a standalone video. I'm not sure if I will label this as a Road to the Pros video. It probably will because it kind of makes sense. But we'll see. We'll see what strikes my fancy at the time that I have to upload this guy. If you go back to the first video, though, of Road to the Pros, you will hear me talk about my goals. And I have 3 goals. I want to turn pro. I want to do well in a pro show. So that's kind of loose and subjective, right? I mean, what is well? Is it top 5? Is it top 3? I mean, for me, it's probably just not taking dead last. But whatever it is at the time that I deem it to be doing well, then my second goal is to do well. Well, my third goal is to win a pro show. In this competition season, I'm positioning myself to definitely achieve that first goal, to turn pro. I think I may even have an outside shot to accomplish that second goal of doing well in a pro show. Now, that being said, how is that going to set up? Well, if I compete in late June or early July or mid-July and I turn pro and I'm already in shape and I've already allocated in my mind and my budget and my time and my family things and all that stuff, this additional time to compete, then what I'm gonna do is, oh, here comes Biscuit. Autumn just dropped. So good thing I'm doing this voiceover, because Autumn just dropped the cats into the room, so you may hear them in the background. But I'll still have time to compete. So what I'll do is I'll be a pro at that point. So I will step on stage with other pros. Am I going to do well? Probably not. Am I going to just get completely gorilla smacked? Yeah, probably. Because, these guys are already pros and they've been prepping as pros most likely. Whereas I will have been prepping as an amateur and just turned pro. And so could I be in a position where my physique is strong enough to compete with those guys? Maybe. It's not impossible. I think it's not super likely. But hey, I've been embarrassed before. I've been embarrassed on stage before as a bodybuilder, as a speaker, as a whatever. I mean, it just happens. It's part of the thing. And so I'll do it again. I got no shame in my game, and I know that I'll learn a truckload from doing that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, man. That's what I'm laying out here. Maybe this helps you guys. I mean, the one thing I said earlier about not stepping into something super extreme, I think might be helpful for you, regardless of what your goals might be. But the other thing, if you don't take anything away from this, take this. Spend some time, load you up your own Google Sheet and map out your own macro cycle. You don't have to be a competitive athlete. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. But if fitness is important to you, and if getting in shape is important to you, if losing fat or gaining muscle or hitting certain strength targets or whatever the case may be is important to you, then I would encourage you to map things out in a grander design, in more of a macro sense, right? Think big picture, think macro cycle. I mean, you guys have heard me talk before about macro cycles, mesocycles, and microcycles. And I think that this is a good video on a macro cycle and how you might be able to use this, to your advantage. So I think that's all I got for you guys, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I kind of enjoyed this voiceover. I may do more of these things because I'm just able to chill in my bedroom, in my PJs. And, yeah, it's kind of nice, to be honest with you. But, hey, thanks for checking me out. I hope you guys took something away from this. Social media at JSchultF3 across the board. If you're watching this on YouTube, which you probably are, since this is the only place you'll be able to find it, consider subscribing to the channel. That would be awesome. Take a look at the podcast. That's up and running, and I think that's it, man. That is all I got for you guys. So God bless, and we will see you guys next time.